Hey gaming fans, so today's another Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile, and this one is Deskbots. I was just looking at this archetype the other day, and then I just realized that how this fits in with the common charity format. The format where you only play with commons, because pretty much they're all commons. Bearing, some spells and traps and stuff that I had to play around with. So I thought, hey, let's make this a common charity deck. Anyways, let's get to the build, and we'll talk about what the choices are. So each of the Deskbots, they pretty much work off of each other. They're all pretty much the same attack and defense, 500 and 500, but they all boost each other up at the same time. So, and the other thing that's interesting about them is every one of them is a different level. So, and it's usually based on their number, I think. So Deskbot 1 is level 1, and then 2, and so on. So we'll start with 3 of the Deskbot number 1s. This guy, so this deck can pretty much swarm. That's the whole idea, is you get a whole bunch of these out and you get them really big. So this guy gains 500 attack and defense for each machine type monster you control. And then if 2 or more machine monsters are special summoned at the same time while this card is in your graveyard, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card. So he just keeps coming back. He's also a tuner. So anyways, so you can synchro if you need to. Then we're going to play 3 of the 2. So if this card is special summoned, you can add 1 Deskbot card from your deck to your hand. All machine type monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense except this card. So he doesn't boost himself, but he'll boost everybody else up. So you can see by having a bunch of these guys on the field, they're going to get pretty big pretty fast. Then we'll go into 3 of the number 3s. So when this card is normal summoned, you could special summon 1 Deskbot monster from your deck, except number 3. So once per turn, during your either player's turn, you could target 1 Deskbot monster you control. It gains 500 attack and defense for each Deskbot card you currently control till the end of turn. So again, more pumping up. I mean, this is definitely a deck you're going to want to have your calculator ready to start calculating all the power boosts and keep track of it. Then we got 3 of the number 4. This guy's an interesting one. He's kind of taking a different approach. So if this card battles an opponent's monster during damage calculation in either player's turn, you could activate this effect once per battle. Your opponent takes no battle damage for the rest of this turn. Also, send 1 Deskbot monster from your deck to your graveyard, except Deskbot number 4, so he can't send himself. And if you do, this card gains an attack and defense equal to the sent monster's level times 500. So you're obviously going to pick a Deskbot that has a much higher level. And then during damage calculation, only if this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, which it most likely will, you could special summon 2 Deskbot monsters with different levels from your hand or graveyard in defense position. So you really want to get these Deskbots in the graveyard to utilize these effects. Now getting on to some of the bigger ones. So we got the 3 of the Deskbot number 5. So these guys are all Pendulum. So basically what, at this point, you're not going to be normal summoning. You're going to be pendulum summoning these guys. So if this card, so first of all, it's pendulum scales, or they're 1 in 10. So the other one's 1 and this guy's 10. But there's a limitation on it that you cannot pendulum summon monsters except for Deskbot monsters, which is fine because the entire deck is just Deskbot monsters. And then if this card is normal or special summoned, you could target 1 spell or trap on the field, destroy it. This card gains 500 attack for each face-up Deskbot monster in your extra deck. So when they get destroyed, obviously they go to the extra deck, so then it gives boosts. So then it says, if this card in the Pendulum zone is destroyed, you could target 1 Deskbot monster in your graveyard, special summon it. Again, so you want to utilize the graveyard as well, and special summon from the graveyard. So then we got 3 of the Deskbot. Oh, we only got 2 of the Deskbot 6, sorry. So he's 1. So same idea. You can only pendulum summon the Deskbot monsters. If this card is normal or special summoned, you could target 1 monster on the field, change its battle position. This card gains 500 attack for each Deskbot monster in your extra deck. If this card is in the Pendulum zone is destroyed, you could target 1 Deskbot card in your graveyard and add that target to your hand. So he kind of replenishes in turns monsters into defense mode. So I only put 2 in the deck. And then I put 1 of the number 7. This is the 10 scale, same idea. This card gains 500 attack for each Deskbot card in your graveyard. So he's a good one to have a little bit later on. Also to use his, because he's a 7, so you could send him to the graveyard with number 4's effect to boost up your number 4, wherever the heck he went. There he is. So you could send the 7 or higher, you know, to make him really, really big. And then, so he's like, your opponent cannot target face-up Deskbot monsters for attack except this one. If this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing damage to your opponent. So he's got a lot of great effects too, and he can get really big as well. Then we got the last 2 monsters is Deskbot number 8. So same thing, Pendulum scale 1. This card gains 500 attack for each Deskbot card in your graveyard. If your opponent cannot target face-up Deskbot cards with card effects except this one. So he's similar to number 7, protects from card effects. And this card can make up to 2 attacks on monsters during the battle phase. So it's an interesting card as well. Again, level 8, you want to send them. I know there's a Deskbot 9, I just don't have one in my collection, but if I did, I'd probably have him in here. I can't remember exactly what he did. But, so for the spells, we want to increase our draw power and get some of these guys into the graveyard. So I went with Dark World Dealings. You can always, you know, draw and then pitch one into the graveyard, and then get it back onto the field through some of the various effects. And, you know, just in case, you know, we are throwing a lot of monsters in the graveyard, and we do have an ability to summon them to the field fast from the deck as well. So you might as well get some more draw power with Pot of Avarice. Obviously, this card can weaken your 7 and 8s, but you know, if you're running out of cards in hand, you need cards. It's always a good option. Plus, there is another card that is important to have multiple copies of monsters. I threw in 1 reasoning because why not? You're playing all levels in this deck, so good luck on your opponent guessing the exact level that's going to come up next. You know, in most decks, you play like a substantial number of similar levels, whereas this one, the most you have is 3 of any single level. So reasoning can actually be pretty good, especially if your level 8 is there on top of your deck and you're going to get that effect off. I put in 1 for 1 because getting that number 1 guy out is pretty good. He's really got the great effect there, and you might want to duplicate him, so just to get him on the field fast. Monster Reborn, again, we're playing with the graveyard a lot, so why not have Monster Reborn? Probably one of the best cards in the deck is Machine Duplication. Select 1 machine type monster with 500 or less attack on your side of the field. You can special summon up to 2 cards with the same name from your deck. Now you have to be careful too, because a lot of the boosting happens. So this is really good when you don't have any monsters on the field yet, and you summon 1 and then you dupe it. Because once you start getting some others onto the field, they start to boost up their attacks, and then they're no longer 500 or less. But I mean, opening hand, you're going to want to see this card. Foolish Burial, same idea as what I've said before. You want to get some stuff into the graveyard. And then we got 2 Mystical Space Typhoons. This can work against your opponent. It can also help to destroy some of your Pendulum scales that get effects off when they are just destroyed from the Pendulum zone. So 2 should be good enough. And then just some defensive traps while you build up your, you build up your Deskbots. You might start turn 1 with only 1 Deskbot on the field, so you might want to try and protect them. Same idea here with Solemn Strikes, just another way of protecting them and dealing with your opponent's monster effects. And the last card I threw in is a Call It a Haunted. Again, we're dealing with the graveyard, so we want to be able to call it a haunted anything that ends up in there, including your 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1. So it's just another Monster Reborn. For the extra deck, I mean, there is tuners in here, and you know, this deck is really meant to just swarm with Deskbots. So going into your extra deck, it might only be if you need the effect to get off of a certain monster. But I don't have like I've said in previous videos, I don't have a ton of common extra deck cards, but there is a Deskbot Jet card that it's there if you want to use it. It's one tuner plus one or more non-tuner monsters. I think it's like a level 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. So it's a level 10. This card gains 500 attack for each Deskbot card on the field. So pretty much similar to a lot of the other effects. You can only use one of the effects of the Deskbot jet once per turn. You can target one Deskbot card you control, destroy it, and if you do, special summon one Deskbot monster from your deck. Or you could target one Deskbot card you control and one face-up card on the field and destroy them. So that's a pretty handy effect. I mean, I think I only have one of these guys too for some reason. At least that's all I found in my collection. I just found a bunch of other cards that could be handy. You know, Borrello Dragon, why not? It's common. Terrace, Keeper of Genesis, 2 level 5s can rank into him. And then just whatever I had left over. Like I said, my common charity extra deck resources are quite low, and I don't know what the rules are going to be for this format. If we ever get any official rulings, if every card you actually have to have is the common version of it, or if you could just have you know, rare cards in your deck as long as they were printed common. I don't know. Anyways, hope you liked the build. This was my thought, because I was originally just going to build a standard Deskbot deck, but I thought, hey, why not? It's, you know, they're all common, so let's just go with the common charity build. Anyways, hope you liked the deck. Throw some comments down below. Hope you subscribe. Talk to you later.